Yo, what up? How you guys doing out there today? This is your boy Roto Beast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy. We're here to present you our NFL Week 2 quarterback picks. If you're new to this channel, please make sure and click the subscribe button below. This way you can watch all of our NFL, NBA, and MLB videos. And if you haven't come and checked out our website here at dfscheatsheet.com, you're absolutely missing out. We have all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, daily Fanduel and Draftkings cash lineups. Hey, we're truly a one-stop shop for all your DFS needs. So make sure to come check out the site here at dfscheatsheet.com. Say what up, Jeremy? How you doing out there, bro?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Quarterbacks. Get into quarterbacks.
Quarterbacks are like pitchers in MLB, man. They're basically the most important position that you really got to focus on. If you get your quarterback wrong, it's not always, but generally it's usually kind of a bad day. So yeah, quarterbacks are important. I'm ready to jump in and talk some quarterbacks this week.
Yeah, where you starting at?
Real quick before we do jump into it, one thing I do want to mention is we did extend our sale for our year-long membership. Take advantage of that using NFL 2019 promo code. You get the rest of MLB, all of NFL, plus NBA under one umbrella. You get daily cash lineups. Our optimizer covers Fanduel and Draftkings, all slates. Plus, you get all of our content. It's an absolute steal. So take advantage of it. NFL 2019 promo code. And yeah, let's talk about it. So we'll go straight to the main event, man. Last week, you didn't care for Lamar Jackson. I was kind of borderline on him, but I liked the price, and he absolutely went off. This week, the price has jumped up a bunch, and that's one thing that's obvious. What do you think about Lamar Jackson this week? We'll kind of get started there.
I have no idea. I'll just say that I have no idea. Look, 17 of 20, 324 yards, 5 passing touchdowns, some really explosive plays. It looked like a varsity team was playing against a JV team. That's what it looked like.
Right. No, I agree with you.
This is a much different secondary that he's going to face. A much different secondary. They have playmakers in the Arizona Cardinals have playmakers in their secondary. They don't have a bad front seven. Their defense is not the Miami Dolphins. I don't know. I don't know what to think. I mean, my gut tells me when the season is over, he's not going to be a top 10 quarterback from a passing standpoint, from a fantasy standpoint, because he can run and he will have some rushing touchdowns and he will have games where he rushes for 40, 60, maybe 80 yards. Maybe from a fantasy standpoint, he's a top 10 scoring quarterback, but he's not going to be a top 10 quarterback when the season's over. I just don't think he is. I know that what they're doing in Baltimore is John Harbaugh has said they're going to change the way offense is played in the NFL. He's not the first person to try to do this. Chip Kelly ran probably the most efficient, high-octane offense at the University of Oregon. That did not work in the NFL. You can't protect your quarterback, man. I've said it time and time again. A zone read type scheme, an option type scheme in the NFL, the hash marks are much closer. The NFL game is played in the middle of the field. I think Mark Ingram is his best friend. I think play action pass is a really good a way to help him. And the thing they did, which will be what I'll watch for, is there was a lot of routes that crossed his face. And that's very important because he doesn't have to check left side, middle, right side. They're not trying to triangle stuff up on one side in flood zones. They're moving receivers across his face. They're giving him one primary read. He's taking some shots. So I think he can be successful. I just don't know what to think, to be honest with you. He's not an accurate. He has not been an accurate passer of the football. He wasn't a great passer in college. He wasn't a great passer last year. He was a great passer in week 1 against the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think that, he can definitely have a good week, but I don't know if he's a guy that we want to go with cash games this week. Last week he was a little bit cheaper. We went for it. It absolutely worked off. This week, I don't know if he's the guy. Definitely in GBP, I think that he's a good play. He's going to run the ball a little bit more than he did last week as well. Next guy we'll quickly go with, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, what do you think about him? He lost Tyreek Hill. Still has a bunch of weapons out there. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, 25 of 33, three passing touchdowns, one rushing attempt, 2 yards, 27 fantasy points on Fanduel, 25 of 33 for 378 yards. Very underwhelming, I think, because of the type of game it was, and the Jaguars lost Nick Foles in that game, and that probably the bigger story. Honestly, they went out and they got Nick Foles, and right out the gate in the first quarter of the game, breaks his collarbone, he's on IR. So the Mahomes performance probably gets overshadowed by Lamar Jackson and what he did, and by in the game he played in, Nick Foles goes on IR. So I love Mahomes. I think Mahomes is a top quarterback, top three quarterback when this week is over. Yes, he's the highest priced quarterback. It looks like it's an easy pick, but I don't think a lot of people realize he was 25 for 33. He was overshadowed by at least two things in that game, one being Foles and the other being Sammy Watkins from a fantasy standpoint. And then at the quarterback position, Lamar Jackson did ball out. So, Mahomes, his 25 of 33 probably goes overlooked. The $9,000 price tag probably doesn't look attractive. Raiders Chiefs, man. It's Raiders Chiefs. And I
Yeah,
really think that you can add, I really believe this. I think that another week of practice, another week with Shady McCoy, another week of Andy Reid being creative, and you're down Tyreek Hill. I think Shady McCoy is involved in this game plan, and I think it gives him another weapon to throw the ball to. And Travis Kelce, who we like as a tight end this week, absolutely murders the Raiders.
right, for sure. Another guy that I feel that I really like, I think he's gonna really go under the radar based on his price mostly. I like Deshaun Watson. Last week had a monster week, 20 for 30, 268 yards, three touchdowns, rushed for 4 yards, 40. He had four rushing attempts for 40 yards and a touchdown for 31 fantasy points. He gets a matchup this week against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who just got roasted by Patrick Mahomes, who we just talked about. What do you think about Watson?
Yeah, I'm really confused with Jacksonville, to be honest with you, because 2 years ago, a top three defense in the NFL, last year with pretty much the same cast of characters, takes a huge step backwards. And I think with the additions that they brought to this team this year and the draft pick that they added to this defense, I think that the overall consensus thought was this is going to be a much improved defense, and Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs go out and shred them. So, we'll have to see. Look, the one thing I said coming into this was that in week one of daily fantasy, there are so many overreactions, and people get, because of year-long drafts, they play players in daily fantasy lineups that they probably shouldn't, because these players have been hyped up. Week two, you're going to get the overreactions, right? Recency bias is the most realest thing in daily fantasy sports. Oh, this guy screwed my lineups over. I'm not playing him next week. Oh, this guy went off last week. I can't wait to load him up this week. Recency bias is the biggest thing. So I don't know what to think of this game. I do like Deshaun Watson. He's got weapons around him. Um, you know, I like him. I don't know what to think about Jacksonville, though, and I don't know if I like Watson more than I like Mahomes. I like Mahomes. I think Mahomes, Drew Brees, and Jared Goff are my favorite three.
For sure. So, I mean, outside of, a couple guys I mentioned, who you got? I mean, I like Jackson, Mahomes, Watson. Where are you at?
I think that this is a week early to be on Aaron Rodgers. I think that as he grows into this offense, he grows into the play calling, he grows into what the system in which they're trying to implement around him is with this new coach. I think as this evolves, Aaron Rodgers will get better. I'm a big buyer on Green Bay's defense. I think this defensive line, I've mentioned it before, when you're able to rush four and drop seven and get pressure on the quarterback with four, it just creates a ton of problems for quarterbacks. So this is probably a week early on Aaron Rodgers. Tom Brady, I like Sonny Michel a whole lot better than I like Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady's in a good spot. He can go out there and go 20 for 25 and put 350 yards and 5 touchdowns. He can do that. But I just think that in this type of a game, I might want to have the weapons around Brady more than I want Brady. Phillip Rivers, we know he's going to throw the football with the running backs that he has with him. We know what Eckler did last week, and Eckler, his points came on receptions and receiving touchdowns. So, can Dak Prescott rebound? I do like Ben Roethlisberger quite a bit. I think he will rebound this week, and he'll be very low owned. But my favorite three quarterbacks this week, Patrick Mahomes, Drew Brees, and Jared Goff. You look at the attempts for Jared Goff, you look at the attempts for Drew Brees. You know, the last guy that I'm going to mention to you, you mentioned Lamar Jackson. I'm going to mention Kyler Murray, and let me explain this pick. Kyler Murray threw the ball 54 times. In the first half, he looked like crap. He didn't look good. He looked like a rookie quarterback who had a deer in headlights. His coach even said after the game, and we talked about this on, I think, the tight end video or the defense video. His coach says probably the worst half of football that you could play. He threw the ball 54 times for 308 yards. He threw 2 touchdowns. We know what he can do with his legs, right? And this is an air raid offensive system. It's a quick passing game system. The guy's going to throw the football. So I don't think anybody will be on Kyler Murray. I don't think anybody at all will be on Kyler Murray. And you look at his price tag, and I think that he is definitely in a really good spot as far as tournaments go. Baltimore's defense may be real, but I guarantee you this. They are not going to bang David Johnson between the tackles 30 times in this game and try to protect Kyler Murray. They're going to go out and their offensive system is not built for that. It's the air raid system. They're going to throw the football.
Right, for sure. I mean, speaking on those lines, one more guy I do want to throw out there real quick. I like Josh Allen for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, I know people are like, why are you talking about Josh Allen? But at the end of the day, last week he threw 24 for 37, 254 yards and a touchdown. Obviously, he threw 2 interceptions, which sucks. But he also ran 10 times for 38 yards and a touchdown with 2 fumbles. You take away the interceptions, you take away the fumbles. The guy has a monster day. I mean, he's just massive usage. It is what it is. Throwing it for almost 40 times, running it for 10 plus times. Like, that's what we want out of our fantasy quarterbacks. And I like Josh Allen this week as a good play against the Giants as well.
I mean, let's talk about this for a second. Josh Allen in 12 games last year, 89 rush attempts, 631 rushing yards, and 8 touchdowns. I mean, Josh Allen's going to run the football. And by the way, in those 12 games, he threw for 2,075 yards. So I like the pick with Josh Allen. We just saw Dak torch this same defense. We don't think the New York Giants are very good. Don't have any problem at all with him. The last guy that I'm going to go to is Derek Carr. I just think Derek Carr continues to be under the radar. I don't know why. The guy was super efficient, 22 of 26, 259 yards, the 1 passing touchdown. I really think that bringing Keelan Doss back, who I mentioned is a guy I like in tournaments this week as a wide receiver 3, you're bringing in a receiver who played all preseason for the Raiders. He played in this system. He came to camp. He did the whole 9 yards. It's not a guy you brought in off the street who's going to learn a system and have a limited amount of reps. Keelan Doss can jump right into a wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 role. They clearly brought him back because they thought that they let him get away. Antonio Brown departs. They tried all week to get him last week. They finally brought him in and signed him. I think Derek Carr is going to have a really big year this year. He was one of my top quarterbacks that I picked in our overall rankings for the year. 22 of 26 is really, really efficient at 6,600 yards in a game that I'll continue to say, tell me what the Chiefs did to get better defensively. They didn't do anything. They lost players, if anything. So, you don't have Eric Berry back there. You don't have Dee Ford on that defensive line. So, 22 of 26, 259 yards against a defense that a lot of people in Denver think is going to be pretty good. Von Miller was pretty much a no-show in that football game. And that's because they ran the ball well. And that, like the running back video I mentioned, I like Josh Jacobs again. And Derek Carr was very efficient and got the ball out of his hands. And what that tells me is the one thing about John Gruden, right? If you go look at John Gruden and look at like cut-ups, sound bites of him from when he was with Tampa Bay or the Raiders the first time, or you watch his quarterback camp, whatever you call that, the football fired football coaches of America videos he did on ESPN with quarterbacks. If you watch all of that stuff, the one thing he always put on quarterbacks was he would say, you didn't set the protection. You get to the NFL, why'd you take this sack? You get to the NFL, your job's going to be to set protections. When you look at who Denver has to rush the quarterback and they were a non-factor in the game, it tells me Derek Carr knows this system very, very well. He's in control of the protections. He's in control of the audibles. He knows how to check into the right play. I just think it's going to be a huge year for him. I don't think he stays in the 6,000s very long. I think he has another very productive game and possibly multiple touchdown passes.
Yeah, for sure. No, I get it. They look good. They look good last week, and there's no denying that. So that's really where we're at with our NFL quarterback video. If you want to check out any other positions or you want to check out any other sports, make sure to check.
I have to mention one more guy. I have to mention Gardner Minshew. I have to mention this guy because he was 22 of 25 for 275 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. And here's the thing. Let me give you a couple things. This guy was recruited to be a backup quarterback to the University of Alabama. He said, no, I'm going to Washington State. I'm going to play for crazy Mike Leach, who I think is probably one of the best sound bites you could ever listen to, and went on to break NCAA records for passing. He woke up last Sunday and had no clue Nick Foles was going to break his shoulder. Winning the game, cool, calm, collective, probably has the best mustache anywhere in America, and goes 22 of 25, throws 2 passing touchdowns, 275 passing yards. I know Houston's a legit defense. I know they are. I know Drew Brees is a top quarterback in the NFL, and you can't just carry over and say that Drew Brees had a really good game against them and now the next quarterback will. It's a rookie quarterback. I think people will take the Saints defense to some extent, thinking this guy's going to make a lot of mistakes, and he might. But in tournaments at $6,400 this week, you can't ignore a guy had 18.6 fantasy points, went for 275 yards, and played 3 quarters of football. You can't ignore it. He understands football. He's cool. He's calm, collected. He completed his first 11 attempts, went 22 of 25 in that game. You can't overlook Gardner Minshew. You just can't.
Yeah, no, I get you. Hey, that's off the radar play that I wasn't on, but I get you. It makes sense for sure. So, hey, check out the website.
That's why you come here to get information like that.
For sure. Hey, check it out. DFSCheatSheet.com. Make sure to take advantage of that promo code NFL 2019 to get our yearly subscription for 50% off. Hey, good luck tonight, guys. Peace out.